If you want to protect your assets in Dubai, you will hear about many options such as wills, SPVs, offshore companies, trust, and foundations. Each one of these options promise something different, and it's easy to feel lost about what actually works for your needs. So in this video, I'll compare these 5 main options. You will see how each one works, where it fits best, and what's the real strength and limitations for each one. We will cover how these structures can protect you from legal claims, family disputes, and business risks, and what happens if you want to pass your wealth on to the next generation. So by the end of this video, you will know what to use for basic inheritance, what works for privacy, and what needs serious long-term asset protection in Dubai. Let's start by looking at wills. In Dubai, a will is a legal document that lets you decide who gets your assets when you pass away. It's the most basic form of succession planning. A will is important if you want your wealth to be passed on according to your wishes, especially if you're an expat living in Dubai. The difc will service allows non-Muslims to register their wills in English, providing clarity and comfort. But it's important to know what a will can and cannot do. A will gives instructions, but it does not protect your assets during your lifetime. If you face a lawsuit, business risk, or creditor claims, assets in your personal name are still exposed. A will is also a document that becomes public after death, and probate can take months or even years if dispute arises. So while a will is an important foundation, it's not enough for most people who want strong asset protection or privacy. Next is Special Purpose Vehicle or SPV. In Dubai, SPVs are most commonly set up in difc or adgm. An SPV is a simple holding company. It does not run a business. Instead, it owns assets such as shares, property, intellectual property, or even your family business. The main advantage is separation. If you own your assets through an SPV, claims or lawsuits against you personally do not reach the assets inside the SPV, as long as you set it up and use it correctly. This is a big step up from holding assets in your own name. SPVs are also useful for structuring joint ventures, real estate investments, and holding shares in operating companies. However, an SPV is still a company with shareholders, directors, and reporting obligations. If the owner faces legal problems, courts can sometimes reach through the SPV and seize its assets, especially if there is evidence of misuse or fraud. An SPV is a strong tool, but it's not bulletproof asset protection. It is most effective when combined with other structures. Now let's talk about offshore companies. These are companies registered in another country, such as the British Virgin Island, Cayman Island, Jersey, or similar jurisdictions, with the aim to hold assets outside of Dubai, or sometimes within Dubai through proper structuring. Offshore companies have historically been used for privacy, tax efficiency, and holding international assets. But rules have tightened worldwide. Banks want to see substance, transparency, and compliance. Today, an offshore company can help if you have global interest and need flexibility. But on its own, it offers limited protection. If you remain the beneficial owner and a court demands disclosure, secrecy is gone. Offshore companies are useful for cross-border businesses, investment holdings, and tax optimization. But they're rarely enough to protect your Dubai assets from all the risk. Think of them as a layer, not a shield of protection. Now comes the trust. A trust is a legal relationship where you, the settlor, transfers assets to a trustee who is then holding and managing them for the benefits of your chosen beneficiaries. In Dubai, trusts are available in the difc and adgm with robust modern laws. The power of a trust lies in separation. The trustee becomes the legal owner, not you. This means assets inside the trust are protected from personal lawsuits, creditors, or family disputes if set up properly. Trusts are ideal for families with complex needs, business succession, and long-term protection. You can also control how and when your beneficiaries receive their inheritance, reducing the risk of sudden spending or bad decisions. Trusts, however, requires careful planning. They need a reliable trustee and a clear legal advice. If you retain too much control, courts can sometimes ignore the trust. Trusts also have ongoing costs and reporting duties. But when properly structured, a trust is one of the strongest tools for asset protection, privacy, and succession planning in Dubai. And finally, let's look at the foundation. In Dubai, foundations are available in both difc and adgm. A foundation is similar to a trust in many ways. but it is a legal entity in its own rights. That means the foundation itself owns the assets, not the founder, not the board, and not the beneficiaries. This separation is powerful. Foundations are highly flexible. They can hold shares, property, art, intellectual property, or even control operating businesses. Foundations are often used by families who want to protect assets over generations, set up clear rules for distribution, and manage complex global holdings. Foundations are also popular with entrepreneurs and professionals who want robust, long-term asset protection and control. Unlike a company, a foundation has no shareholders. The board of the foundation follows the wishes of the founder, as set out in the foundation's charter. Foundations are private, flexible, and accepted by banks and regulators worldwide. They do have setup and annual cost and require good governance, but for many in Dubai, they are the gold standard for asset protection and succession. Now let's step back and look at how these structures fit together. For basic inheritance planning, a will is essential, but it only takes effect when you pass away. An SPV, on the other hand, gives you a separate legal entity to hold assets, providing you a buffer against your personal risks. An offshore company can add a layer of privacy and help manage global interest, but it must be used carefully to avoid compliance issues. A trust or foundation goes much further, separating ownership from control, protecting assets from lawsuits and the creditors, and giving you powerful tools for succession and legacy planning. Many families use these tools in combination. For example, a DIFC foundation might own an SPV, which in turn holds the shares in a Dubai company or real estate. Your will then directs what happens to any of the remaining personal assets. Each structure has its strengths, but also its limits. The best results often come from combining them in a way that matches your unique family, business, and global footprint. Choosing the right path depends on your goals, your risk tolerance, and the type of assets you hold. Asset protection is not about hiding wealth, but about making sure your legacy is secure and your family is protected from unnecessary risks wherever your life takes you. If you own a business or real estate, don't wait for legal or health crisis to start thinking about protecting your wealth. Many people think asset protection is only for ultra wealthy. But the reality is that some of these solutions cost as much as setting up a free zone company in Dubai. If you want to secure what you have built and ensure your legacy, you can request your free and customized asset protection plan by clicking the link in the description below. And if you're serious about building long-term financial security, you should really check out my next video right here.